Okay, I would like to continue with my talk and with my ideas, but it's a very difficult to talk after Mr. Vaněk because I have more theoretical ideas about the role of oral history, about research on the topics of the political prisoners of Czech Republic and Czechoslovakia. Ladies and gentlemen, apologize me at first that I'm late here because 3 months ago I promised to Czech TV to participate on some movie which I had to do today in Havlíčkův Brod. It was a little bit different topics than political prisoners, but little bit same period because we recorded a movie about the 50s, but it was not political prisoners, but about the invasion of American Beatles, Mandelika Bramborová, and about this ideology which influenced us in the 50s, and it was the story how American imperialists wanted to eat our food of the people, but it was a little bit, now I have to little bit change this topic. At first I would like to tell you something about oral history and about the role of oral history in Czech Republic, in Europe, maybe in the world. 15 years ago, a small group of historians, we started in the Czech Republic with the first project on oral history, which was focused on the revolutionary students and their role in the 1989. I'm very glad that I see the Monika Perová, who was one of the first interviewed person, like a laboratory mouse for our research, and it was quite funny because we started with the one data projector, one data recorder, one book about the theory of oral history, but we continue, and now it's a little bit better. But without the Western influence, we could be on the beginning, I think. Most of the historians, I don't see that I see them here. Maybe remember their experience with the first fights and excited academical disputes over the role of oral history in the Czech Republic. Our colleagues, mostly elderly, didn't accept oral history, nor the beginnings of oral history research a priori, because they believe only written documents. They told us that the written documents is the basic, but they didn't accept that these documents were produced by, for example, Communist Party, by the secret police, etc., etc. So I think that the oral history is one of the way how we get totally new ideas and knowledge about our past. As for the present, it can be said that we have overcome these disputations. Nowadays, we are discussing finally the essence of the method and possibilities of the oral history research. Perhaps we have convinced most of our more skeptical colleagues that it is necessary to proceed in researching our contemporary history with every possible and accessible method and using all kinds of historical sources. Meanwhile, oral history is efficiently and successfully developing into research institutions at universities, colleges, and even high schools and finally middle schools. Oral history as a scientific or scholarly method was last mentioned in material elaborated by the Ministry of Education, where it was recommended as useful and important instrument in history teaching and learning. I would like to mention three, I think, very important points or moments for Czech oral history. The first one was January 2000, when we established the Center of Oral History in the Institute of Contemporary History, Prague. The second moment, which I would like to mention, is January 2007, when Czech Oral History Association was established. And finally, this summer, I mean July 2010, when we hosted International Oral History Association conference, I mean we invited more than 500 colleagues from the older world, from the older continents, and from the 57 countries. I think that it was the great things for Prague, for social science, for us like the historians, and for the public, I think too. If I'm thinking about the oral history, I have to say that the methods is one that there are a lot of very usual moments. One of that is that we have to see our past a little bit in different ways. That we could ask the participants of the history that they would give us their voices, which are quite important for understanding all the context. I think that it's the same in all the authoritarian regimes in the world, because I think that oral history can help to bring different opinions than its official opinions. The second part of my talk, it's only a couple notes. I would like to mention the topics of political prisoners and how the topics working in the oral history in the Czech Republic. I think that one of the main academic questions is the research of oppression, that is political prisoners from the second half of the last century. This research started at the Institute for Contemporary History in the 90s at the Czech universities, where I realized a couple of projects on this topic 5-7 years ago, and as well as Czech Oral History Association strongly recommend and support this research 2 years ago. It's why Czech Oral History Association support all activities of young historians around Tomáš Bouška, like a leading person of the group, which is titled Political Prisoners. And I would like to mention that another young colleagues, Michal Volčus and Artur Kamer and Klára Pinderová. I think that is the fantastic group which has produced very good work. I think that their work goes in the standards of oral history in every aspect. And I'm very glad about their work, because I know that it's not easy thing. Today we face a new boom of oral history, like something like a fashion mode, where many non-professionals and some journalists are referring to oral history in their works. The problem is not personalities, these colleagues, but is the result of their work. This result would rarely be considered oral history, and their method is far from international development and standards. I see the main danger of this trend is its tendency to sensation without a professional and ethic question. So I am very glad, and of course I would like undertaking that we have a so quite good historians among us. I think that Tomáš Bouška and his colleagues decided to go to the right and serious way, which is of course more difficult. For the future of the research of oppression, I see 2 or 3 main goals for us. The first would be the collecting different projects which were held in our history after the 1989, and which are split to the different levels with the different little bit topics. And I think that it would be very good if all this result would be under one umbrella of, for example, this group of Tomáš Bouška. It's the first one. The second one, I would like if we could go step by step to the deeper research of all the groups. I mean the person who still hadn't chance to talk about their lives. And last and not least, it would be great if there would be a chance to put together a similar project and try it from the other post-socialistic countries, and prepare some international project under umbrella IOHA, International Oral History Association. I think that it will be great. I can promise that I myself I will try, like a new elected president, to do my best for successful result. I see that the panel focused on oppression and political prisoners, which was held in summer, brought one of the biggest attention from all the world at last International Prague Conference. So I hope that the next conference in Buenos Aires 2010 bring a lot of new results on this topic, and I believe that we move forward our knowledge about this very sad and painful history. But it's our history. Thank you for your attention.